Dhanvat Pranam.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances and Dhanvat Pranam. I
Hare
invite
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Usha Mataji. I invite you to the early morning short Bhagavatam class organized by ISKCON Radha Govinda Temple, Kulai, Mangaluru. I indeed invite you for and on behalf of His Grace Sri Ramanista Das Prabhuji. We shall begin with the prayers. Prayers are very important. Only mercy of the Lord can make us understand what He wants to convey. And unless we understand what He wants to convey, we will not be able to put that into practice.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna Mataji Pranam.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Pranam. Let us begin with the prayers. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Utpatakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagar Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagar Lalita Shri Vishakar Vishtasya हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो
ओम नमो
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नमस्कृत्य
नरं
नरं
चैव
चैव
नरोत्तमम्
नरोत्तमं
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire.
देवीं सरस्वतीं
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 व्यासं
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 ततो
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 जयमुदीरये।
जयमुदीरये।
Nurratam Swakataha Krishna Punya Kirtana
शृण्वतां
शृण्वतां
स्वनति
स्वकथा
स्वकथा
कृष्ण
कथा
कृष्ण
कीर्तनः
पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनाः
पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना
पुण्यश्रवणं कीर्तनः
Hradayanta Soyabadrani Viduroti Surasata
हृदयन्तस्थो
हृदयन्तस्तुतो वै
ह्यभद्राणि
हृदयन्तस्तोह्यभद्राणि
विधुनोति
वैर्भद्राणि
विधुनोति
सुहृत्सताम्
सुहृत्सताम्।
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
नष्टप्रायेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु
भद्रेषु
वैष्णवेषु
भद्रेषु
नित्यं
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 भागवत
भागवतसेवया
भागवत
सेवया
सेवया।
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naisiki
भगवती
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 उत्तमश्लोके
उत्तमश्लोके
उत्तमश्लोके भक्ति
भक्तिर्भवति
भवति
नैष्टिकी
नैष्टिकी।
Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 6 Prescribed Duties for Mankind Chapter 5 Narada Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha Verse number 37 Daksha is actually speaking here. Venkata Narasimha Rao Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Runaistrivi Muktanam Amimamsita Karmanam Avighataha Shreyasa Papalokaya Vubhayo Krutaha. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Surya Prakash Rao Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Ranat Pranam.
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ऋणैत्रिभिर्मुक्तानां मीमांसितः कर्मणां विघातः श्रेयसः पाप लोकोयोरुभयोर्कृतः। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु।
Thank you. Sramya Madhvi Devi Dasi ji, Hare Krishna Mataji, Ranat Pranam.
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ऋणैस्त्रिभिरमुक्तानाम् अमीमांसितकर्मणाम् विधातः श्रेयसः पाप लोकयोरुभयोर्कृतः। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you. Madhumai Krishnan Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji, Ranat Pranam.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ऋणैस्त्रिभिरमुक्तानाम् अमीमांसितकर्मणाम् विघातः श्रेयसः पापा लोकयोरुभयोः कृतः। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा।
Thank you. Madhu Soni Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji, Ranat Pranam.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ऋणैस्त्रिभिरमुक्तानां मीमांसितकर्मणां विघातः श्रेयस पापलोकयोरुभयो कृतः। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you. Pranandini Madhvi Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji, Ranat
हरे
Pranam.
कृष्ण प्रभु, प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ऋणैस्त्रिभिरमुक्तानाम् अमीमांसितकर्मणां विघातः श्रेयसपाप लोकम् उभयोर् लोकयोरुभयोर्कृतः। Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Vijaya Kumari Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, you are muted. Hare Krishna Mataji. Revati Ratnangi Devi Dasiji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ऋणो श्रीभिरमुक्तानां माञ्छित कर्मणां विघातः श्रेयस पापलोकयोरुभयोः। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु भयो कृष्ण। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Thank
थैंक यू।
you. Usha Dayavati Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ऋणै त्रिभिः अमुक्तानां अमीमे मां सित कर्माणां विगता श्रेयश पाप लोकायो उभयो कृतः। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
Vijaya Kumari Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji. I agree.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mataji.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Pranay Trivira Muktana. Amimam Karmanam. Vigad Shreyasa Pabaloka Yorubayo. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Vijaya Kumari Mataji, can you read synonyms for us?
Yes, Mother Prabhuji.
Go ahead, please.
Runa from the depths. Tribihi 3. Amukatnam, a person's not freed. Ami mem sita, not considering. Karmanam, the path of duty. Vignat, ruin. Sriyosha, of the path of good fortune. Papa, oh, most sinful Narada Muni. Lokeha, of the words. Yuba Yoga, both. Correct, done. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Vijaya Kumari Mataji, for reading synonyms. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prajapati Daksha said, my sons were not at all freed from their 3 debts. Indeed, they did not properly consider their obligations. O Narada Muni, O personality of sinful action, you have obstructed their progress toward good fortune in this world and the next because they are still indebted to the saintly persons, the demigods, and their father. Purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As soon as a Brahmana takes birth, he assumes 3 kinds of debts. Debts to great saints, debts to the demigods, and debts to his father. The sons of Brahmana must undergo celibacy, brahmacharya, to clear his debt to the saintly persons. He must perform ritualistic ceremonies to clear the debt to the demigods, and he must beget children to become free from his debt to his father. Prajapati Daksha argued that although the renounced order is recommended for liberation, one cannot attain liberation unless one fulfills his obligation to the demigods, the saints, and his father. Since Daksha's sons had not liberated themselves from these 3 debts, how could Narada Muni have led them to the renounced order of life? Apparently, Prajapati Daksha did not know the final decision of the Shastras. Sureka Mataji, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.41.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yeah, you go ahead, Prakash Rao Prabhuji.
देवर्षि भूताप्तॄणां पितॄणां न किङ्करो नायं मृणीन राजन् सर्वात्मनाय शरणं शरण्यं गतो मुकुन्दं परिहृत्य कर्तं हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you. That's Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.41. The translation is, everyone is indebted to demigods, to living entities in general, to his family, to the Pitas, and so on. But if one fully surrenders to Krishna, Mukunda, who can give one liberation, even if one performs no yagnas, one is freed from all debts. Even if one does not repay his debt, he is freed from all debts if he renounces the material world for the sake of Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose lotus feet are the shelter of everyone. This is the verdict of the Shastra. Therefore, Narada Muni was completely right in instructing the sons of Prajapati Daksha to renounce this material world immediately and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Unfortunately, Prajapati Daksha, the father of the Haryasvas and Savalasvas, did not understand the great service rendered by Narada Muni. Daksha therefore addressed him as Papa. This is the Pap that we say, the personality of sinful activities, and Asadu, a non-saintly person. Since Narada Muni was a great saint and Vaishnava, he tolerated all such accusation from Prajapati Daksha. He merely performed his duty as a Vaishnava by delivering all the sons of Prajapati Daksha, enabling them to return back home, back to Godhead. Prajapati Daksha came to know about two recent incidences. First, he knew that all his first children, Haryasvas, were renounced and they went back to Godhead. He then, after getting that message, he then had another set of children. They are called Savalasvas, and they were sent to perform austerity to beget children. While they were performing austerity for the purpose of begetting children, Narada Muni came across, saw them, and realized that they are least contaminated by the material world and probably very simple, disciplined, pious children. He realized that they are fit for their liberation. And so he taught them how to perform devotional services and get liberated and go back to Godhead. That worked out. That's when Daksha got really angry. He had been angry after the first set of children were sent back to Godhead. But this time his temper really blew up the sky. The moment this happened, he started accusing a person who did that. Narada Muni, being an exalted devotee, top devotee of Lord Krishna, his primary action is to liberate as many souls as possible in the material world and send them back to Godhead by special instructions. And so, as a Vaishnava, he performed his duty and sent another set of children back to Godhead with clear instructions. These created a situation where Daksha started blaming. We learned yesterday that he blamed the whole incident, and Srila Prabhupada very nicely compared it with the present day senior devotees and priests of Krishna conscious movement who attempt to teach the Western world and probably all the human beings how to get involved into devotional service and go back to Godhead. This eventually has been criticized by those materialist people who otherwise live a normal life, we call it normal, and believe that by enforcing the four principles of regulation, they are creating a situation where their words, children, relatives, or friends get devoid of any truthful or meaningful life, and thus they all get angry on converting them into Krishna conscious movement. Srila Prabhupada then explained how wrong they are and how right the saints of Krishna conscious movements, the devotees, and all other people. Prabhupada calls them army of Krishna conscious movement, are very right and true. Daksha goes one step further, and now he starts invoking the real issues that comes across, which are considered to be the rules. Any Brahmana that takes birth in the material manifestation, as soon as he takes birth, he has three obligations. Obligation from his father, obligation from saints, and obligation from the demigods. These obligations have to be fulfilled by a person who is born during his lifetime. Until he does that, when he leaves his material body, his progress either to the next body or back to Godhead or whatever his karmas are, is hampered. Until this situation is cleared, further progress of the soul is stopped. And so Daksha is invoking that rule and now telling that Narada Muni is not only an asadhu, but he is a papa or personified sinful person. So he really takes the law to the extreme and gives the verdict himself without realizing a true knowledge. Srila Prabhupada explains the true knowledge of Shastras and says that a person who surrenders to the Lord doesn't have any obligation or doesn't have any duty to perform. We have learned that extensively in Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 12. It begins from 2, of course, when Arjun says that he doesn't want to fight because he is feeling guilty. He would kill all his friends and relatives. And what's the fun of having a kingdom after their death? With whom would he enjoy it? Gradually, Lord Krishna leads him to understand that he is thinking in the terms of sense gratification, his sense gratifications, and that's wrong. And that's when he surrenders to the Lord, and then Lord explains to him that once you are totally surrendered, the obligations, debts, and the rules of the Shastras that otherwise applies to all conditioned souls no more applies to these people who are fully surrendered to the Lord. These people are given various names, but we have come across at least 2-3 names. Vishnu Parayana, Vishnu Mukta. They are also known as Atmanivedi, and they are also known as Jivan Mukta. These surrender is not an ordinary surrender. What is the meaning of a surrender? When you surrender totally and completely, having a complete faith only in Lord Krishna, you wouldn't endeavor to collect or to earn food. You will have a full confidence that whenever and wherever, whatever is needed would be supplied by the Lord in time for its purpose, and that He would fully protect you from all harm's way that comes along your way. You don't need to do anything, and that He would certainly show you one way or the other the path to go back to Him peacefully and blissfully. This surrender is a complete and total surrender. Surrender has many names. It is also called as Saranagati or Saranapatti. All of them mean the same thing, that you take a shelter of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead totally and completely. In other words, you shiver all the attachments of possible help, possible connection in this material world, and totally and completely rely on the Lord for all that your material body and your spirit would need, or whatever needs to be done. This surrender process is quite a serious process. It's an active process. And to achieve this is not easy. You can only surrender when you remember Krishna for each and every second of the day. You never forget Krishna for a moment. That's when you develop a power or a rati in you that makes you start generating a prayer for the Lord. So a total surrender comes as late as that. Before that, whatever surrender is our typical surrender of material world. You are in a temple, you live in a temple, and you obviously have to do at least 8 hours of SEVA to the temple. But you would neglect the SEVA and use the prefix or use the reason that you have surrendered. That's a wrong reason because you have not surrendered totally. So all your obligations to the duties and the debts are completely removed only when you have totally surrendered to the Lord. If your surrenders are partial surrenders, what we call convenient surrenders, wherein you get advantage if you remain surrendered, and when the disadvantages come, you disconnect your surrender. That's when all your duties and all your debts remain alive for you to fulfill. So Lord Krishna is smarter than us. We might think that I have found out a way of escaping from all so-called duties or a work that gives me pain and hard work gives me tiredness. Those things will never go until your surrender is complete. It's very easy to say that I have surrendered, but the moment the first bell of any crisis returns, you start working your way out in this material world. Who can help you? Who can bring you out of it? How can it be done? What means can easily achieve it? Are the series of thoughts that start coming in you. That is not a surrender. Whatever crisis comes along your way, you believe that this would be looked after by the Lord. He has brought the crisis. He has sanctioned the crisis. And so he will find a way and protect me if he desires so. And you just remain steadfast. That is what is surrender. When you are hungry, you don't run around to find the food, but probably wait there continuing with your japa or whatever devotional activity that you are doing, having a total faith in the Lord that when my hunger surmounts, there would be a food by the Lord that I would be able to consume and keep my hunger under control. We believe in this philosophy that there is always enough for everyone to share, and there is always everything for everyone, whatever he needs. Then there should be a confidence that develops in you, the faith that strengthens in you, that such protection from the Lord is definitely there. And when you trust that protection, that trust, that faith never fails you. We have seen through many devotees, we have heard the incidences and examples of Lord's pastimes, wherein the totally surrendered people have been, or devotees have been taken care of by the Lord. And in the and there are many sayings in some of the Christian missionaries that Lord works in the most mysterious ways. When the help comes, it always comes from the most unexpected corner. And these two sayings I have seen are always true. God never works in a simpler way, what we call our material way. If X person is punishing you or bringing you a crisis, somehow making him happy with things he likes would take you out of the crisis. This is the way our material mind thinks. But God doesn't work that way. God's working is quite difficult to understand. And this we have seen even while Bhishma Pitamaha was consoling Pandavas for their miseries that they faced throughout, and was telling that this is God's plan and don't take it as your bad karmas of the previous life. They certainly were not due to bad karmas, but God works in the most mysterious ways, and when He works in a mysterious way, it's very difficult for our material mind to understand even the ABC of it. So even when Bhishma Pitama was leaving his body, when I'm sure anyone would speak the truth as dying declaration, even common human being is considered as a gospel truth, because a person who is dying would never lie. And so if he accuses someone while dying, that is used as an evidence in the court of law, and person is punished. So Bhishma Pitama was dying, and that's when he consoles and tells Pandavas that God works in the most mysterious ways. So this is probably a God's plan that you suffered all the miseries. Surrendering is a word which is very loosely used in the material world, but is a very compact word with a typical characteristic as I explained. It's a steadfast word, and thus it doesn't accept any lacunae or doesn't accept any gap anywhere in the process. A slightest gap, a slightest mistake, and you are no more under the shelter of the Lord. For a Lord's shelter, as I said earlier, you must have Lord's memory for all the day and night. You must never forget. And you must have that bhava and prema, at least bhava going into prema, that you love the Lord more than anyone else in this world. So this Saranagati, surrender, and this is what exactly Savalya's, what's her name? The Daksha's children has been instructed by Narada to do. And so all their debts have been paid off because of they being a Vishnu Parayana or Vishnu Mukta. And they have done total surrender. And so their duty is no more there for anyone in this material world. Again, a second question has been raised where Narada Muni is even called Papi and he is also called Asadhu. But that's all exacerbation, sending Savalasvas back to the Godhead is a prime duty of Narada Muni, and he has performed that duty. Only Daksha doesn't understand the exaltness of that prime duty and the great service that Narada Muni has done, not only to Savalasvas and to Haridas, but to Daksha himself, because ultimately they are all Daksha's children. So this misconception that comes in, ultimately trying to blame a person who is doing a good thing for you, is very common with our material senses, material mind, and material understanding. We are so selfish that we look through that narrow keyhole and try and understand the entire room, which is so big and so wide. We do not understand anything, and that's why we become selfish. If you are selfish, you are certainly having a very narrow path of knowledge. If you have a wide and broad knowledge, you would be less and less selfish. And as the knowledge, especially the transcendental knowledge, increases in width and length, the selfishness goes away. So these are some of the things that come in. I hope you remember I told you earlier that the first sign of a devotee or a pious man from a non-devotee or asura is compassion. You have a compassion, that means you are a devotee. You are trying to understand the problems of the person next to you, and you try and stand and put your legs in his shoes and realize how difficult time that person is passing through. That is compassion. Any question, any doubts, any revelation, any commentary, any addition? Please go ahead. Hare Krishna to everyone. Hare Krishna, Surya Prakash Rao Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Is everyone there?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. It's
Hare
nicely explained, Prabhuji, because you have explained so well. Like today, like Sharanagati, you have explained in details. So that was really nice, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Madhuswani Mataji. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. If there are no further questions, thank you very much, all of you, for attending the class. All of you have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha vasindubhya evacha patita nama pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna to all of you. Have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
Prabhuji.
Hare
you.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.